Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jedi In Exile. I'm here with my good friend and co-host, It's Tats, and we're here. It's another Andor episode. We're on episode 11 now.
Yeah, we are.
The Daughters of Ferrix. So before we dig into this episode, as always, guys, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It's all coming at the bottom of your screen now. I can see it. So, Matt, talk to me. Episode 11. Quite a bit. It was a shorter episode to what we're used to so far. It was only about 40 minutes long.
Yeah, I know, which is weird saying that,
I know, because normally we're like, oh, it's only 30 minutes. So, no, 40 minutes long. I feel like not loads happened, but at the same time, it felt like we've progressed the story quite a bit. So, talk to me about your thoughts. What did you take from it?
Yeah, so I enjoyed the episode. I feel like this one I can really feel it building. It was
You keep saying that about episodes,
but genuinely, like, I feel like we've just finished watching the episode basically, and I feel like I'm completely on the edge of my seat, like
I'll give you
ready for what we're about to see in
like
episode
a
12.
coiled spring.
Yeah, like ready to go. No, I think kind of we got more insight into characters, which it feels quite late in the day to be kind of fleshing out characters, if you want to kind of call it that.
Well, we know there's going to be a season 2, so we'll throw that in there. So obviously they know that they can have a slow build up.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're kind of we're seeing another side to Luthen. Still we're seeing this kind of, and I know people are criticising people that talk about the show because they use the word gritty all the time, but we are kind of seeing the darker kind of underbelly.
A real show,
and that is one of the things that is starting to kind of come out as this gets closer to the end. We talked about it in the last episode about kind of the whole like financing stuff, right? They went into it even more in this one, where Mon Mothma was talking about, you know, she used to take 100,000 credits a month and put them away, and she thinks that she's been, or is on the verge of being found out because there's a 400,000 credit discrepancy that she needs to make disappear. So we're kind of seeing that more realistic side to kind of the rebellion and the building of the rebellion.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that we're so invested in these characters now that even though we know they're not in the original trilogy and maybe we don't see them in the rebellion, that doesn't mean to say that they're all just going to die. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing what happens to Luthen, what happens to Vel, you know, Cinta, Cyril, you know, all these people that are in this. I'd like to think that not everyone's just going to die. Obviously Saw is like an extremist, and in Rogue One he's almost been like expelled from the rebellion, and we were talking about maybe Luthen, could that he be the same, because Luthen seems to be just as radical as Saw. So
I kind of as we were watching the episode, I kind of jokingly said, when you find yourself like aligning politically with Saw Gerrera, you know you're in a bad way. That's not a good place to be. But no, I think, you know, when I sat down and watched Rogue One, part of what was taken away from part of what took away from my enjoyment the first time I watched it was I was kind of like, it's really difficult to get invested in these characters because you're like, oh well, they're all going to die at the end because they weren't big people like in the original trilogy.
And many Boffins died.
But actually, we kind of are living in a world now where it's not that straightforward for the guys that are pulling the strings behind the scenes. It's not as straightforward as, oh, this person wasn't mentioned or wasn't in the original trilogy, so they can't exist. It's dead easy for them to be part of another pocket of rebellion, or there to be some obscure reference that they then find a way to link that character in, like a code name or whatever.
Rex in Return of the Jedi. That's the one I keep going back to. Is Dave Filoni and whoever, they found characters from the OTs and thought, right, that character, we're going to bring him forward 20 years or you know, however long, or he or she, and let's link it back, and so that fans are then like, because every time I watch Return of the Jedi now, I'm like, that's Rex.
So I think I am excited about these characters. Obviously, when Vel was first introduced, kind of got the impression oh, you know, she's...
Didn't really get her importance,
No,
did we?
no, I was kind of just like, oh, she's somebody that is, you know, wants to fight, and they've basically just been like, oh, well, we'll send you over here, and, like, we'll sort something out. And then she keeps coming back, and obviously she's actually in quite a lot of this episode.
Yeah, she is,
She obviously went to the Luthen...
the shop, the
like
antique
shop,
store,
and had a conversation with his assistant, and kind of stressed that she needed to speak to Luthen, and there was other things going on.
And can I just say, on a side note, in the store, every time there's scenes in the shop, I'm like leaning forward, like looking to see like what artifacts we can see. So in this episode, something that we saw was the old Gungan plasma shield from episode 1.
Could it be the exact one that General Jar Jar was using?
Yeah. It's interesting though, because like I say, in that shop, I'm like, what can we find? So we've seen Starkiller's
like Sith armor.
Yeah, which obviously Starkiller isn't even canon, but that's like a cool little nod. We've seen holocrons. Which seem a lot bigger than what we've seen them before. They're like huge monster holocrons. We've seen Padme's headdress, that she wears in episode 2 when she's pretended to be a refugee. And now we've seen the Gungan shield. So just a few like nods, and
There's
Leonardo
probably
DiCaprio.
So much that we haven't spotted as well that will be in there. But no, I think kind of this really drove on. You know, we got like a short scene with Cyril when he's chatting to the Scottish commander.
Anyone who's Scottish is just evil. We know they're a villain in this series.
So it was, and this is what I mean about this whole thing building. Is this was starting to pull. So Luthen towards the end was having a conversation with his assistant, the coded conversation that was super clever.
I really liked that.
The coded conversation. So we assume he's going to Ferrix to try and find out what's
Everyone's
going on.
trying to look for Andor, aren't they? Because obviously Marva has passed away. That's how the episode started.
And we kind of got that final bit at the end where Cassian has found out. And we assume he probably is going to go back. So this is kind of all like, and it's actually quite nice because it's come full circle. Because everything started on Ferrix and it's coming back to Ferrix. But no, like I think, you know, we kind of got. You mentioned it in the previous episode that we did. The kind of gangster that said to Mon Mothma like about the arranged marriage, and she said, "I'm not even considering it," and he was like, "You already are." And we found out that she is. Yeah,
well, it's obviously just goes to show how desperate she is, because if the Empire or the accountants for the Empire do go through the books, and how bad, like, people don't like accountants at the best of time, but then Empire accountants, they're like
the worst of the worst.
So they're going to go through the books. I don't know whether she's obviously afraid of like the rebellion being found out, but she's really only probably connected to at this point Luthen. And on a side note, Luthen's ship. I mean, how cool was that? The whole scene with
that was it was cool, but also ridiculous. It was. I said to you, I was like, I bet that the Imperial like admiral was stood on the bridge going, "Who did we just try and arrest?" Because like, what's just happened?
Definitely, if Jack Sparrow was in Star Wars, that'd be he'd go over the comlink. You'll remember this day, the day you almost called Captain Luthen.
Like, it was mad, but also awesome, because that is one thing that we haven't actually really seen. I know that we got the flight when they were, like, escaping from the heist on Aldhani, but it wasn't, we didn't really get much actual, like, flying. That was a, like, dogfight, awesome kind of ship engagement, which was really cool to see. And again, like, kind of pulled us back into... I will say that this is not a Star Wars TV show. This is like a TV show set in the Star Wars universe. And that just kind of reinforced that. That was like the back to...
definitely. And I think...
Remember where we are.
I definitely think the conversation that Luthen had with Saw about Anto Krieger, about the fact that they almost... he's land for the slaughter. They know that 30 men and Krieger, that they're all going to die. They're all going to get slaughtered, because they realise that if they stop the attack from happening on this Steelhouse something, whatever it is, Spellhouse, yeah. If they stop the attack, then the ISB are going to know that there's a mole, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's almost, and again they keep saying it's for the greater good. So again, it's just building, isn't it? Like you say, and it seems weird again to say after 11 episodes we're building. Episode 12 had better blow my mind.
This feels like you know when
episode 12 better be like a 2-hour.
You know when
episode.
when Cassian was like, it's that like calm before the storm, before they did the heist. That's how I feel. I feel like the reason that nothing like super mad has happened other than the Luthen like kind of dogfight situation, the fact that we haven't seen like massive like gunfights and big explosions and stuff is because they're kind of letting everything settle before they like pull the pin and the
definitely.
explosion
Like
happens.
him and his mate have now decided to split up, haven't they, to double their chances because they want to tell people about the prison. So I wonder whether Andor meets Mon Mothma at some point and like tells her about like almost what's happening on the ground. I wonder Andy Serkis's character, is that the end of it? Like I don't actually know whether he signed up to in season 2. Like no idea whether he's going to be a big character. We don't know whether this is the Snoke origin story.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting time, I think, for how this last episode goes. Like I would assume it's got to end on a bit of a cliffhanger to lead into season 2, and also you can't finish after 11 episodes. You can't finish even in an hour episode. You can't just finish the series and wrap everything up or everyone's story. So I definitely feel it'll be left open ended. And I don't even know when season 2 is filming, when it's scheduled to release.
No idea.
But we're probably looking the back end of next year, if not the start of 2024. So yeah, there'll be a bit of time to wait. But no, it is exciting. It is exciting.
I just think it's mad that like, so I feel like this episode for me really showed how manipulative Luthen is in kind of everything that happened with him and Saw, where Saw started kind of being like, who's your guy? And he knew exactly how to play it to get to where he wanted to be and to get the reaction that he wanted and all of that 100%. Kind of stuff. And it's mad for me because when we saw Luthen in like some of the trailers and stuff, and even in the first like let's say 4 episodes or so, I actually thought he was just going to be a middleman. And actually he feels like he's one of the main guys pulling the strings.
The Andor, this series, is the main characters have been obviously Andor, Mon Mothma and Luthen. It's those 3 that are you know are going to be like the big rebellion types. So no, it's really, really cool. Scores wise, I'm going to go first and I'm going to give this an 8.
Oh, okay.
Because I felt like it was a good episode, but it wasn't as good as episode 10.
Yeah,
like,
no. So I would agree with you in sentiment. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Of course, sure.
I feel like this for me I feel like, to throw another metaphor out there of how this has made me feel, I feel like, you know, in like cartoons where they have the powder keg and then they have the trail of gunpowder. I feel like this is somebody's lit the gunpowder. It's been trailing along like nice and slowly, and we are genuinely like seconds away from the big bang, the big explosion, everything about to happen. So the fact that it was a slow episode, but still had me on the edge of my seat, ready to kind of find out what's going to happen next, I think 8.5 for me.
Well, there you have it. That's an average score of 8.25.
It is.
So it's still a high score. I think anything above an 8, I think, you know, is a
solid.
Yeah, a good episode. So that's our thoughts, guys. You've heard it here first now. So let us know below in the comments as normal what you guys thought. Is there anything we've missed out? Any other Easter eggs? Anything else in the store that you've noticed that we've missed? Because we really want to know. But apart from that, we'll see you all in the next one.
Yeah, may the force be with you.